Hello everyone! In this video, I'll show you how to push Visual Studio Code to GitHub. Let's walk through how we can commit the code and push it to GitHub. First, we need to create a repository where we can push the code. Go to GitHub and create a new repository. To do this, click on New and give the repository a name. Since my project is a web project, I'll call it web-project. You can add a description if you want, and you can make it a private repository if you prefer, but I'll leave it as the default public option and click Create Repository. Now that our repository is created, you'll see a URL for the repository. You can copy this URL by clicking on the Copy button. This is the URL you'll use to push your code to GitHub. You'll need to add .git to the end of the URL if you want to set it as the Git origin for pushing your project. After copying the URL, go back to your project and open the terminal by clicking on Terminal and then New Terminal. Once the terminal is open, we need to initialize a Git repository locally. This is because we can't directly upload the folder to GitHub. Instead, we need to create a local Git repository that can be pushed to a remote GitHub repository. To initialize the Git repository, type git in it and hit Enter. This will create a local Git repository. You'll notice that the terminal text may change color, indicating that Git has been initialized. After initializing Git, we need to tell Git which files should be tracked. A project might have many files, so to track all of them, type git add dot and hit Enter. The period means that all files will be added to Git for tracking. Whether you have one file or 100, this command will track them all. Next, we need to commit the changes. To do this, type git commit -m initial commit and hit Enter. You'll notice that the terminal color changes again, meaning all changes have been committed. A commit means that the work you've done is saved and ready to be pushed to GitHub. Now, let's see how to push it. The command to push the code is git push origin master. Master is the branch name, but you can replace it with your branch if needed. If you run this command now, you'll likely get an error saying, Origin does not appear to be a Git repository. That's because we haven't defined the origin yet. The origin is the remote URL of the repository. To define it, type git remote add origin URL, where URL is the repository URL you copied earlier. Once you've done that, the origin is set, and now you can push to the master branch using git push origin master. Hit Enter, and as you can see, the code is pushed successfully. If you go back to GitHub and reload the page, you'll see that your files like index.html are now in the repository. You can click on the file to see the code. Now let me explain commits with an example. Let's say you change the content of the page to sample page, change 1. If you save this file and try to push it again without committing, you'll get a message saying that everything is up to date. This is because the file has changed, but you haven't committed it yet, so it won't be pushed. To push the change, you need to commit again. Type git commit -mu change 1 inch and hit Enter. After that, you can push the changes, and the committed changes will be pushed to GitHub. That's how you can commit and push your code to GitHub. If this video helped you out, feel free to buy me a coffee using the link in the description. This will support the channel so I can keep making more videos like this.